So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Durham MA in Translation Studies. I'm Ita McCarthy. I'm the Strategic Project Officer on the MA, and we're joined as well by Don Starr, who is the co-director of the MA in Translation Studies, and also by Amelina Damele, who is the Director of Postgraduate Taught Programs here at the University of Durham. And we're very happy to be joined also by students, current students and past students on the MA who will tell us a little about their experiences of the MA. There's Yingjun Zhang, Siu Li, Jinai Campbell, Amy Cooper, and these are all current MA students. And then we'll speak also to Tamara Barakat, who is a past MA student, who is also a current PhD student and teaches as well on one of the modules that we teach on the MA in Translation Studies, the Crossing Cultures module. So I'm going to hand over shortly to Don Starr, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the program. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why the Durham program is a particular program and what's specific and distinctive about it. And then we'll hand over to our students who will give you a little insight into their experience. So Don, over to you. I'll mute myself.
I'll unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Now, I can't see my picture, but I assume you can see it. Right, so I'm sorry. I just noticed before that I'd forgotten to change my name back to, I was judging on the Chinese bridge competition last Saturday and was required to change to my Chinese name. So the reason it says judge, Samalin, is because of that. Apologies about that. Right. So this is about MA in Translation Studies, which has been running at Durham since 2008. And I have to say, I've been here since then on that program all the way through, I'm afraid. But as you can see, here's the languages that we teach on this program, and the idea of the program is to combine training on the theory of translation theory, practice in translation, and give you an opportunity to pursue your interests in either a dissertation on translation studies or in a project on translation between one language and another. And in the case of the dissertation and the translation project, the ball is in your court for deciding what subject, what area you want to concentrate on. So it gives you the opportunity of concentrating on the appropriate area. So here's what we teach. Here's the core modules. All students have to take translation theory, and this includes research skills. So it includes an introduction to CAT tools and both talking about translation theory, which will help you for writing commentaries. And you have to take a specialized translation language. Here's a list of the languages. And you take one or two of those, but you have to take one as part of the core course. So this is 60 credits here. The independent study modules, which is the dissertation, the extended translation project, which is 10,000 word translation and a 5,000 word commentary. And as I said, it's on a topic of your choice. Or if you're doing two languages, you can do two standard projects, which is 5,000 words of translation, 2,500 words of commentary. And if you're doing one language, then you can do a project in one direction and in the other direction. So for example, you can do Chinese English plus English Chinese if you want to do two standard projects. So that's another 60 credits there. And then you choose another 60 credits from here. So it's 180 credits in total. Some of these modules are 30 credits, some of the modules are 15 credits. So for example, conference interpreting and simultaneous interpreting, these are each 15 credits. Together give you 30 credits. That gives you another 30 credits among the other choices. Okay, let's, yeah. What do? We offer research seminars. We've got the Centre for Intercultural Mediation. We'll see some pictures of that in a moment. So the Centre for Intercultural Mediation has a regular seminar series where we invite speakers from other parts of the UK and other parts of the world. And we have the Durham Postgraduate Translation Studies Conference, and we'll see that, some pictures of that. And within the school runs its own translation research seminars. And last year we had some very successful, over the past year, masterclasses given by professional translators. These were organized by Ita, who was just talking to you, and these were extremely successful and well received. So here's a picture of Postgraduate Studies Conference. I think this is the 2019 one. This person here is Ricardo Munoz Martin, who's the editor of Translation, Cognition and Behavior, one of the leading journals in translation studies. He's from Italy, I think. You may recognize this person. This person is Zhongbing Han, who teaches English to Chinese translation, also teaches translation theory, and his research area is on translation process research. So here's, I was about to point out you, Ita. Here we are. You recognize this person as well. This was 2019 as well, or was it beginning of 2020, I think, actually, where Kevin Lynn was invited as Professor of Practice in Durham. He was appointed Professor of Practice. He was invited to come and give a lecture. And here's a picture of Kevin giving his lecture to the assembled students. And I think the next one is also Kevin. Here we are. So here's head of department, head of faculty, Kevin, and here he's talking after his lecture, and then he's talking in the interpreting suite to our students the next day. He's got some very interesting ideas on how to teach simultaneous interpreting. So this is the interpreting suite, which has 4 booths, each with 2 positions in, and then a lot of positions around the table. This is used for interpreting teaching. Here is the eye tracking equipment we've got. So here's a room with an eye tracker for carrying out process research in how translators carry out translation, which is one of Zheng Lao's specialities. Okay, I think it's over to you now, Ita.
Thank you very much, Don. So yes, you've seen there some of our team. You've met Bing Han, and you're meeting Don and me. You're seeing the pictures there, some of our permanent staff, but we also have professors in practice who come in from the outside. We have practitioners who speak in our various master classes. So it's a large network of teachers who will be teaching you. And that's one of the reasons for studying translation at Durham. We are very much anchored and rooted in the northeast of England, in a beautiful city, which I'll show you pictures of very shortly, but we're also very well connected within the world of translation studies beyond Durham too. So we have a long-standing tradition. We've been teaching on this MA for many years, as Don was saying, but we try to innovate and constantly keep on top of the profession as it changes and evolves as well. And one of the things we do in order to keep ourselves really connected with the world beyond Durham University is a series of work placements. So our students can take the translation work placement module, and during that time they get experience of working largely with cultural institutes of, museums, art galleries, libraries. We have work placement opportunities at the cathedral, which you can see in this picture here in Durham, also at the castle in Durham, but beyond as well in Gateshead, in Bradford, and actually also in Oxford, the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, and within European culture institutions as well. The Egyptian Museum in Turin was one of our kind of regular partners beyond this beyond Durham, beyond the UK. So we generally keep ourselves connected with the world of translation studies. We give you the experience to go out and work in an authentic professional environment. And so by the time you've left your MA, you get a sense of orientation about what it is you like within the broad array of translation and interpreting opportunities, where your strengths are, and where it is you might want to build your career. So we really want to model the experience around your strengths, your weaknesses as well, work on your weaknesses and prepare you for translation within the 21st century. Many of our students go on to be professional translators, either freelance translators or specialist translators of one kind or another, creative or literary or in business or in politics or in government or whatever. But there are other careers as well beyond translation and interpreting that our program prepares you for, particularly again within the cultural and heritage environments. So cultural and entrepreneurship, heritage management. But we also have, as Don was saying, a very strong academic pathway too that you can pursue, which can lead you to further postgraduate study and then on to academic research and on to an academic career. And at the same time, we prepare you for broader, kind of unpredictable career paths as well. And our students, you'd be surprised by where our alumni have ended up across the globe in diplomacy, in business, in journalism, in government and policy making and more. We have sports translators. We have people working for the BBC, for television. And so the kind of skill set is very applicable to a lot of different kinds of profession post the MA. Durham, as I say, is a beautiful city in the northeast with a gorgeous medieval cathedral that is visible not just from every part of the city, but from miles around. It's built on top of a hill and nestled within a peninsula around which the River Wear meanders. So you've got these beautiful mix between medieval scenes and modern scenes as well. A lot of the colleges where you're likely to live in are modern buildings. So Durham is a mix of the old and the new. It's in the northeast of England. Edinburgh, of course, is not that far away. London is 2.5 hours by train. So it's well connected, although it feels old worldly in many ways and like a place apart, it's also extremely well connected. This is an overview of what it looks like with the cathedral here dominating the landscape. And you can see some modern buildings around in the hinterland which belong to the university, which are all nestled within walking distance really of the centre of town. It is one of the oldest universities in England. It was established in 1832. So we know what we're doing. We've been doing it for a very long time and we build on a very strong tradition of top class education, but at the same time, we constantly try to, as I say, innovate and respond to the needs of our times in order to prepare our students for the world of work that is unfolding. In terms of rankings, Durham is one of the top universities, world top 100 universities. And these are last year's rankings. And in fact, this year's rankings have just been published and we've actually moved up in the world rankings in pretty much all subjects, including our languages, the languages that we're teaching. So I would invite you to look at the complete university guide when it comes out and you will see the newest results that show the strengths of Durham as an academic institute. So you just need not worry about that side of things. The rankings are there and the quality is there. In terms of living here, our students tend to reside in colleges. This is a little bit of a mystery to a lot of people who aren't used to the culture of colleges at universities. But these are like almost like boarding houses where our students live in blocks of flats, in independent units, in independent rooms and suites. There's an array of different kinds of accommodation experiences, and our students will talk to you about that in a little while because they can all tell you more than I about the experience of living in colleges. These are places where you eat and you sleep and you socialize. Individual colleges have individual identities and they each have their own strengths and characters. and they organize activities around those particular types of colleges. So there might be a sporty college, there might be a drama college, there might be a debating college. Each college offers a different kind of experience. And it is the place that you will call home during the course of your MA in Translation Studies. Here is, again, just some images from the campus, this time external images that give you a sense again of the mix of old and new, of ancient, in fact, and modern, that is Durham University. And now I'm going to hand over to the students. One of the students that I mentioned earlier is Tamara Barakat, and she's going to speak to you shortly. So I will let her use her own words to speak to you. We have also got other testimonials from past years. And I would invite you to visit our website and look at all the information we've just gone through in your own time, and think yourselves about questions you might have, and come back to us with any of those questions in your own time, and having had a chance as well to speak to our students. So I think I'll start this morning by inviting, I should say, students who represent different kinds of parts of the cohort of maths students to speak to us. And I might start with you, Amy and Jenna, if that's okay, because Amy and Jenna are two students who have come through the Durham undergraduate degree as well, and are now coming out the other end of their maths. So they can give you a kind of long-term view of Durham, and they can also give you a sense of what Durham was like before COVID. Of course, the newer students have experienced the last 12 months in extreme circumstances, in the extreme global circumstances we're all very familiar with, and too familiar with at this point. Amy, I might start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about what brought you to the program and what your experience of it was?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Amy. I'm just coming to the end of the Translation Studies Masters. I do specialised translation modules in Spanish and Italian. I also did my undergraduate degree at Durham, as Ita said, which was Modern Languages and Cultures, obviously with the same languages. And I decided to undertake a master's as I wanted to put a sort of more career-orientated spin on what I'd already done. For me, it was a bit of a no-brainer to come back to Durham. I loved the city. I had a great experience here. I knew some of the staff. I was just familiar with the department and how everything worked. And when I was doing my research prior to applying, I also really liked how this translation master seemed to have a sort of balance between translation itself and other related areas like theory and linguistics, which I thought give a sort of nice variety and really support the actual practice of translating. Having now completed most of the course, I can say that one of the things I liked the most was that it's not a particularly large cohort, which makes it sort of less overwhelming and much easier to get to know your peers and all the teachers that sort of help you on the course. The contact hours they're not too overwhelming, there's not too much, but each module has quite a specific structure, which means that once you're used to it after a couple of weeks, it's very easy to plan your weeks and your work and have a regular schedule. Something else I found really helpful from a language point of view is that the master's focus is equally on translation into and out of your native language. So although professional translation does tend to center around translation into your native language for obvious reasons, it really improved my languages to have to focus sometimes on issues of grammar and vocabulary that only really arise when you translate into a foreign language. And that's definitely something I would have missed had most of the course been about translating into English, I think. Also within the specialized translation modules, there's every week you have weekly deadlines for your translations. They're not especially long, but you have to do one per week, which I found very useful for keeping me on track. And I think that's also very helpful practice for translating in the outside world, because I believe that strict deadlines are quite a big part of translating as a career. The staff have been fantastic and have coped, I think, very well in the very challenging sort of year and a half that we've just had. With everything being online, it definitely isn't always easy. There are aspects of this program, like machine translation, that would be much easier if we were all sat in a lab together. But I think the department have coped very well and sort of rallied from something no one expected. So overall, yeah, I would definitely say that this course met all the expectations I had, and I hope that all you future students can get as much out of it as I have.
That's great, Amy. Thank you so much. And do hold any questions you have for Amy, or you can put them already into the chat. You can see the chat function at the bottom of the screen there. Just click on that and add in any questions that you might have, and we can return to all of that at the end. There'll be plenty of time, I hope, for you to ask questions. Janai, would you be ready to say a few words?
Hello everyone. I had a very similar situation to Amy. I did the Modern Languages and Cultures undergraduate degree here at Durham, but I specialized in French and Spanish. And I started doing beginner Spanish at uni here. So I then continued on to do French and Spanish for the master's degree. Similarly to Amy as well, I didn't really have much professional experience with translation. I did a translation module in my final year at Durham, but I had never really applied it within like a professional setting or working to more strict deadlines and things. So I wanted to get a bit more experience in that aspect, but also to learn a bit more theory, which then from the translation theory module, we've been able to apply that sort of knowledge to our own translation strategies, which has been really helpful, I think. And also just in general, I think the course has given myself and everyone else that completed it more confidence in our translations. And going ahead, you're more confident to apply to do like professional translation jobs. And you get more of an insight into, as Amy mentioned, the CAT tools side of translation, because we didn't really focus on that. You don't really focus on that undergrad. So here you got more of an understanding of when it's used, how to use them, how to use the different tools. And yeah, I found that really helpful, especially as I think they're being used more and more nowadays. And yeah, so I liked in particular about Durham, the amount of module choices that there were. I didn't feel too restricted and like I had to focus solely on language and then just keep doing different translations. Like I did the World Literature and Translation module, which I really enjoyed. And also I like the idea of choosing between the dissertation and the translation projects. So I'll be doing one translation project from French into English and one's from Spanish into English. And you do get a lot of freedom, really. You can choose what you want to translate, which I really liked as well. And in terms of living in Durham, as was said before, this year was a bit more challenging because of everything being online, but it was still a success. I think we still had access to resources. We still had, we were able to communicate with all of our lecturers. So although it was more difficult, it was still definitely possible. And I think Durham in general is a lovely place to live. Lovely people and lovely students. So it's, I think, a great place to study.
Thank you so much, Jenna. And thanks for mentioning choice as well. That's something I forgot to say earlier, which is that you can choose modules from any of our MAs, and we have 3 MAs for your options. So we've listed those that are specific to the maths, but you can actually rove beyond the boundaries of the MA in Translation Studies and take modules from the MA in Languages, Literatures and Cultures, or from the MA in Visual Culture as well.
And you can, sorry, let me just say, you can audit additional modules.
Yes, that's true. You can sit in at the start of the year as well. You have a certain period of time before you have to decide definitively on your modules. So you can sit in on other modules and try them out and see which ones actually respond to your interests before you make your firm choice about what you're going to do your assessment in. So now I'm going to welcome Yingjun and Siyu, who will give a sense of their experience. So they've just arrived last October and both are on the Chinese to English program. And they will be able to speak to you about the experience of coming to Durham from the outside and encountering the Durham MA in Translation Studies without having had any undergraduate training in the UK or in Durham. So Yingjun, would you like to start?
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to talk to you and share my experience in Durham. Last year, when I decided to study translation in the UK, I only applied to one university, that is Durham. And here are 3 reasons for that. First of all, compared to other programs, this program combines theory and practice together, which expands my understanding of the discipline. For example, in our translation theory lecture, we explore key concepts in translation and learn how it develops through linguistic, cultural, and social terms. We also have specialized translation seminar where we discuss some practical issues such as how to tackle with certain kinds of articles and why it would be better to translate a word in this way, not that way, etc. Just as Dong has introduced, we will also practice CAT in the second term, and for Chinese students, there are 2 interpreting modules to choose from. So the whole program is very balanced and comprehensive. And secondly, this program belongs to the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, which is one of the most prestigious in the UK. Our teachers are very experienced, patient, and kind. I still remember that the first day, Sergey said, "Don't cry in your little corner. Come out and ask for help if you have any problems." And during my 1-year study here, I indeed benefit a lot from their quality teaching and academic support. And at last, I think that choosing a city is choosing a kind of life. Durham is very beautiful, safe, and magic, which helps me concentrate on my study very well. And the college life is full of fun too, as what you have known. It is a collegiate university, and I'm from University College. The name of my household is Griffin, and I guess it's Gryffindor's Griffin, which sounds very Hogwarts. And thanks to all the college staff here, we still have many activities here, and we went to castle to have formal at the end of every term. And this year in Durham was very memorable, and I really enjoy my life here. And I hope you will gain the same knowledge and inner peace as I do here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to hear your stories and your insights at the end of the year. Siuli, could you tell us a little bit about yours and add a little more to that experience of coming to Durham from the outside?
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Yuli, and I do the English-Chinese translation. It is my pleasure to be invited to talk about my study in Durham this year, and I hope my experience will be helpful for our prospective students. So last year, when I was doing the postgraduate application, I chose the MA Translation Studies in Durham University because first I found the teaching staff here is excellent, as a world top university. And second, I think the MA Translation Studies program provides students many opportunities depending on their interests. For example, if you can choose the practical modules like concept interpreting if you intend to prepare for a professional career, or you can choose some theoretical modules like linguistics in translation or world literature if you want to go a more academic way. According to my own experience, I think the curriculum is very beneficial because you can find what you are really interested in, and it's a good opportunity to explore your potential. Moreover, our professors are very professional and very helpful. So if you have any questions and any plans on your project, just go and ask them. They can give you very appropriate advice, and you know what you need to do. And I want to share one thing before I came to Durham. I remember I wrote an email to Don, ask him about the module things, and he wrote back to me and remind me be careful after arrival because there are many thieves in the airports. I just feel very happy because our teachers are very warm and very helpful. So just join us. You will feel home here. So another thing is you have many chances to attend the online lectures every week. So you can meet professors from other universities and institutes. These are very precious opportunities to broaden your horizon and inspire your study. So when I look back on my life here in Durham here this year, I already missed the time because now I have more knowledge about how to deal with translation in different situations and how to write in a more academic way. If I can give you any advice for the next year study, well, be confident to start your journey here and get ready to know a lot. And don't forget to make friends with your classmates because many of them are really brilliant men. They are really brilliant. And it's a little pity that I'm still not familiar with some classmates because of the COVID situation. But if you have the chances, if you have the face-to-face chances the next year, I hope you can get familiar with each other very soon. Another thing is about the COVID issues. The universities encourage students to take the LFT test twice every week. So if you are going to Durham, so don't worry much about the healthy issues. And the final thing is about the college. Yes, our colleges are just a very warm community for our students. So just you will have very special feelings. I think that's what makes Durham University different. So that's all about my introduction. All the best for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for raising issues about COVID and all of that. And I'll maybe say a few words, Don, and I will say a few words about how we plan to teach next year, building on the experience of this year and hoping that there won't be the same stressful environment that we all had to go through over the course of the last 18 months next year, and that things will have improved. But we're still planning for all sorts of scenarios, and we'll explain how at the end. Let's turn to Tamara now. Tamara represents the student who came, like Siu Li and Yingjun, and enjoyed her experience here, went away and came back, and is now doing her PhD, but also teaching on one of our modules, Crossing Cultures. So she will have known some of the students that you've just spoken to, not as, both as a fellow student and as their tutor. So Tamara, would you like to tell us a little of your experience?
Hey everyone, thanks Ita. It's nice to meet everybody. So since I think everyone has done a great job of talking about the experience of their masters, I'll tell you about life after doing the masters because I agree with everything that has been mentioned. I had a very rewarding experience on both the personal and the academic levels. I learned a lot, I made friends from all over the world, I met amazing academics, and I learned so much from their experience. For me, I chose the master's because I wanted to improve my skills as a translator, and also because I wanted to pursue an academic career. And because of that, I chose to do a dissertation. So you have the choice of either doing the translation project at the end of your master's, or to actually do a research dissertation. So I did that. And at the beginning, I had no idea what topic I wanted, but everything that I was exposed to throughout the year, whether it was during the lectures, the seminars, during the talks with all the speakers from all over the world, the events that are being hosted at the university and so on, kind of lead you to find your interest and what type of research you might be interested in. And when I did that, I had an amazing supervisor who offered great support, was always there, gave me good feedback on my written work and so on. And after I graduated, I returned home, so I'm from Palestine, and there I pursued a career as a freelance translator and also as an academic at one of the universities back home. And this is when I discovered that I really want to be involved in academia and teaching. So I applied for a PhD and I applied for a studentship at Durham University. And a year later, I came back to Durham, and my experience is still positive. And I felt that even as a PhD student, just like all the master's students have mentioned, I was very supported during COVID by both academic and administrative staff, like basically everyone at Durham. And the other thing that I would like to mention is, as someone who's been in Durham for almost 4 years now, there's so many extracurricular activities that you can be involved in. So don't just restrict yourself to just like the academic experience and that's it. Volunteer, get involved in all your college's events. So there will be some sort of social events, other more academic events and seminars and talks. Also be involved in organizing these events. So I'm part of something called the Global Citizenship Program at Houston College. And I'm part of, there are different groups within that. And I'm part of something called Café des Arts. So we organize workshops, we organize talks, we organize events. And there you get to meet other academics and other students, and also you get to learn new things and have fun. So just try to be as involved as possible. I hope that you will have a good like experience next year, and you'll get to have the chance to experience some face-to-face events and or some sort of hybrid events. But yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
Thank you so much, Tamara. So now it's over to you, our visitors and our prospective students, to ask any questions you'd like now or later. You can always email us at another moment. If you have any questions, just use the chat, either to say, I have a question, and then I'll ask you to unmute yourself and speak, or you can type in your question in the chat bar. I do have one question first, which is, are you all in the same college? So Tamara, you were in Houston College. Janai, which college were you in? And Siuli and Yinjun and Amy?
I'm at St. Cuthbert's Society College, which is the same college I was at throughout my undergraduate degree as well.
And what's that known for, Janai, that college? What's its particular character?
I'm not sure if it has something that it's known for in particular. I feel like the college is involved in quite a few different things. It has a lot of societies. Most colleges have like a rowing team and like a cheer team. So there's lots of sports to be involved with. I know Cuth has Cuth's karaoke, which I think is maybe quite particular to Cuth. I don't know if all the colleges have the karaoke club. And Cuth's is different because we have two sites, like two accommodation sites. So we have accommodation on the Bailey, which is usually self-catered, which is all self-catered, but we also have Parsons Field. So if you wanted to be the Bailey is catered and Parsons Field is self-catered. And I think we're the only college that do have that two separate sites. But yeah, it is a really good college to be part of.
That's really interesting to me, Janai, because I've never been in a college, so I don't know, and I hope it's interesting to the prospective students as well. And there's another question, and I might in a second come back to ask Amy her experience, because I know Amy has lived out of a college, and I'd like to know what that's like. What's the affiliation when you live outside and are associated with a college? But there is a question, first of all, from Athil Rashad. Athil, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hiya.
Hiya.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Athil Rashad. I am originally from Iraq, and I'm joining the 2021 course, like in specialized in Arabic English translation. To be honest, like most of the question in mind being crossed off, like while you were talking about like your experience, so you've answered most of the question. My question might be, I might be able to answer my question, which is like, are you very optimistic that we might have like face-to-face learning this year? We hope so. And my second question, when we get to choose our modules, like to crack on with the course? Thank you.
Well, maybe I'll answer one of those questions, Athil, and Don can answer the other. We are planning to be in the classroom teaching you face-to-face in October. That is what we are hoping for. But we've also learned to be adaptable to circumstances, because you know, during the course of the year, we've learned about the unpredictability of this virus and its new variants and all of that kind of thing. At the moment, though, things are looking good in the sense that there is a new variant in the UK and people are contacting the new variant, but the hospitalizations and the deaths are not as bad as before. And therefore, we can still be hopeful that the vaccination program, which has been hugely successful, is going to is going to prepare us for a different year ahead. So that's what we're hoping for. At the same time, we have inbuilt in all of our rooms now new technology that permits us to both be in the classroom and to zoom out to people who are at home. So if some of our students have to self-isolate, which is possibly still going to be a kind of thing that people have to do from time to time, or if they can't travel for one reason or another, we should be able to share the experience of the classroom with the students at home. We have these things called owls, which are cameras that can record sound and images in a 360-degree angle, so that you can see when a student is asking a question and hear when the teacher is talking to you and all of that kind of stuff. Some modules, particularly the optional modules, we're going to run along similar lines of this year because of the benefits, actually. A lot of our students have said they enjoyed pre-recorded lectures and then face-to-face seminars. So we might still have that dual mode. So you get a pre-recorded lecture, you listen to that in your own time at home, and then you come into the seminar in the classroom or via your video link if you're self-isolating or at home for whatever reason. And then you participate in a conversation around that lecture. So we are timetabling classes in order to permit 1 meter social distancing, 2 meter social distancing, and all sorts of variations. So we're much more prepared, I think, in advance this year for the kinds of eventualities that the virus is likely to throw at us. Don, would you like to answer the question about optional modules?
Yes, of course. So our modules are not generally subject to quotas. So you don't get locked out of modules because so many people have chosen them and you were a bit later making your choice. It doesn't happen like that. You get 3 weeks at the beginning of each module to decide whether you want to continue with that module or not. So we do get people changing modules during that period. And as it is suggested, you can turn up for a couple of modules and then decide later which one you want to continue to be assessed in, but you can still attend the other one as an auditing student in any case. And as far as the dissertation or the project is concerned, for example, often students, you have to register for one of them when you first register in October, but it doesn't bind you to that choice. So if you register for a project and then decide when it comes to April, when you actually start work on that module, that you'd prefer to do a dissertation, you can just swap to a dissertation at that point. We're quite flexible on that kind of thing.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Don, and thanks
question,
for your...
if you don't mind me that. So all the models be available for this year, like for 2021, because I heard that some of modules were not available because of the COVID-19 last year, like being restricted, because I thought the interpreting was not available.
No, it happened. It just happened online.
All right. So all the modules, like we can choose, like free choose. All right, that would be great.
Yeah. Interpreting isn't available in Arabic though. Interpreting is Chinese English. So it.
Oh, so I was talking about Arabic. So that's I think it's not going to be available for Arabic.
Don, you may be more up to date on this than I.
I mean, it has been available in Arabic. I'm not exactly sure of the situation at the moment.
Right.
But it certainly has been normally available in Arabic and in Chinese.
All right, Tamara might know the answer.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, ask Tamara. But this year it didn't run because of, I think, demand rather than COVID.
All right.
Tamara, can you tell us about interpreting when you were doing the MA?
Yeah, well, I've done my master's in 2016, 2017. So that was like a bit of a long time ago, but it was, honestly, it was a really good experience because you get to practice a lot of consecutive and simultaneous interpreting. You get to interpret different types of texts, and the whole experience of, just being there, recording that in the like it kind of like simulates the experience of you being in an interpreting booth. So I would say that I learned a lot from that experience. So I hope it will be offered. It will be.
Oh yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, because the reason I've asked, like, because I've done that like practically for about 20 years. So
Yeah.
that's one to like. I feel like I can pass that very easily.
Well, Arabic, English, and Chinese English are the only two languages that have had the interpreting modules on offer to them. You know, maybe in the future we'll be able to broaden it, but partly the reason that that's the case is that most of our students coming from universities in China or in many Arabic-speaking countries expect that the MA combines interpreting and translation, whereas students working on European languages tend to expect MAs in translation studies separately from MAs in interpreting studies. So we super specialize in translation for our European languages. And that's also partly a requirement of our involvement with the European Masters in Translation Network. So this is a large European network. You have to apply for membership, and your program has to adhere to certain regulation standards. And one of those is that you specialize in translation or in interpreting. So for our European membership, for our European languages, we specialize in translation. And then for our non-European languages, or at least for two of our non-European languages, Chinese and Arabic, we offer interpreting as well. So we try to be culturally sensitive to the expectations of our students and the university environments that they're coming from, and the working worlds that they're likely to have to go back and find employment in as well. So Tamara, you also added into the chat there about how college staff it's an extra support structure. You obviously get academic support from the teaching staff, but within the colleges you also get support from staff there on all sorts of levels.
And it's not just for students who live at college. Like, even if your liver's out, you can still contact the team at college, whether you have like anything related to your physical health, your mental health, whether it's your financial situation, whether you need an extension because you've been, you can't cope with the stress. So I've sought the help of staff more than once throughout the past year, and they were super helpful, at least at Ustinov. Like, I had a very good experience. So, and the same thing with the staff at the department, like shout out to Lucia, she's always there to help with everything.
Amy, could I return to that earlier question? You lived out, didn't you? But do you also have a college affiliation, and how does that work?
Yeah, I was, St. Aidan's College is where I did my undergrad, and then I went back there as well for my postgrad. You can change, but I had no desire to do that. But I only lived in college in my very first year at undergrad, and all the other years I was a liver out. But the tie it remains very strong. I mean, probably 80% of students are livers out. So all the college sort of events and support and everything, that those are not limited to just people that live in the college. You are a member of the college regardless of where you're living. And I think it's a fantastic system. I think one of the biggest benefits of it for me was that it really allows you to meet people that you wouldn't probably meet otherwise. So I was very involved in the rowing team, just for the college, not for the university. And some of my best friends throughout all the 5 years were from different year groups, because I knew them from the rowing team, from the college rowing team. But if it hadn't been for the college system, I would never have run into these people, because we would have been in different year groups. So I think it's a fantastic system. And like Tamara says, they're just there for anything you need. There's you get sort of weekly emails and weekly updates from the college about events. And I think if you were just coming for a one-off year doing a master's, it probably would be even more helpful, because they run a lot of sort of come to this and get to know these people sort of events, which would be very helpful if you were coming to the uni not knowing anyone for a master's. So yeah, I had a really fantastic experience with St. Aidan's.
Thank you, Amy. If there aren't any other questions, I just wanted to pick up on something we said earlier. I think it was you said it, Amy, or maybe it was Jenna. I said about smaller cohorts. We tend to have about 53 students, or at least in the last few years, we've had around 53 students as the overall cohort. You're together only for the core modules, but then you divide up into smaller groups for specialized translation modules, but also for the optional modules. within that, so it's a small cohort, that means you get to know everybody and you get to know your teachers, but within that you're also part of a larger postgraduate community. And as I mentioned, we have very close links with the MA in Languages, Literatures and Cultures and the MA in Visual Culture, so you can take their modules. Students from those programs take our modules, so you're likely to meet students who are studying in the classroom, you're likely to meet students who are studying things that are quite different from you, and that broadens the conversation beyond translation as well, which is one of our aims in the MA. Actually, it's to give you a broader view of translation so that you have as full a picture of the landscape as possible. That gives you an orientation for your career, but it also opens up to alternative strategies and ways of approaching translation, and ways of becoming better translators and understanding translation better as well. And so, you know, small-ish cohort, but large postgraduate community, and then the colleges as well. So you're quite well connected socially once you get here. I'm aware of the time. Are there any last questions, if anybody would like to ask now? Yes, there's a question here. When will we know the school start date and the accommodation results? The accommodation results, I'm going to have to hand that question over. I think, Amalina, would you know about, or Don, would you know about when accommodation? Sorry, Don, yeah? Oh, sorry, that's not you. That was somebody else.
That's not me, no.
Don, do you know anything about when accommodation is sorted? Again, that's probably college.
It's a college thing, but it should be happening around now or early July, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say the same, that it will be organised by the colleges, and you normally have notification about that at some point in July.
As far as the school start date, we're very clear on that.
Yeah.
So we have the dates of all the terms several years in advance in Britain. It's not like China. So we know when the start date is. When is it?
It's the start of October and it falls on a Monday, whatever.
My offer letter says 28th of September.
Yeah, I think
I believe it's the 27th. Induction week begins on the 27th of September.
Yeah, that's the
and if you are traveling from abroad, if you're an international student, you may need to bear in mind that you'll need to possibly this year have a period of self-isolate, of quarantine where you begin. So just to make sure that you're leaving yourself enough time before induction week begins.
So induction week is a kind of introduction to everything, isn't it, Amelina? And then the teaching begins the week after that. So right at the start of October.
That's right. So the teaching begins on the 4th of October this year, I believe.
Yeah. And you'll know straight away as well all your assessment deadlines as soon as you come. We have a handbook that has all of that set in stone, so you can already begin to work and think through your work schedule and your workload over the course of the year.
Picking up on what Amy said, I think it's a very good idea to participate in the college events during induction week if you possibly can, because there are a lot of societies and organizations, sporting, musical, all kinds of areas where you can go and participate with students from all countries in the world. And it's a really good way of improving your English, but also getting to know people. As Amy said, I'm sure Amy's a fantastic rower, but the colleges have a level of sport that's attainable to most people. The university sporting teams are really very high level, but the colleges offer the opportunity for people who are just interested in a sport to participate in it.
Thank you, Don. And Janai, were you
Sorry,
going to
I was just going to add that although there's the college societies and sports and DU, like the university societies, there's also student union societies. So if you're not really into sports, there are other things that you can join. Like, I know there's the French society. So either native French speakers or just people that are interested in French language and culture, they host events, or just even, there are so many societies you can choose from. I don't even know a number. Like there's knitting societies, sign language societies. There's so many different things that you could join if you're not really into sports, but also a lot of sports societies that are part of the student union as well as college and university.
I think skydiving as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that's given you some sense, prospective students, of what it's like at Durham. It's strange talking to you into these little black screens, and I hope we'll have an occasion to see your faces and to meet you face to face soon as well. If you do have any other questions, just get in touch with us. We'll be here at the other end of the email. And there is as well information that Amalina has put into the chat here about term dates and about international arrivals. And about getting here in the very first place. So thank you again to everybody for being here.
Itcha, can you just finish by saying, in encouraging people to get in touch with us in the school for help and advice and this kind of thing. The admissions people are very busy during this period and don't always get to answer emails promptly, but we will try to do that.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Don. And I was going to try and put my email address into the chat there, but you can just look up the Durham MA in Translation Studies and contact any one of us, because we'll all be there to answer. And we are, probably the best people to ask any questions about the program to. And we will, be more than happy to get to know you a little bit better during the course of the summer and before we see you in October or September. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop.